autographing his latest masterpiece, Don't Shoot, It's Only Me.
Right.
Make it out to Betsy, will you? Oh, she's your biggest fan. She's watched you ever since she was a little girl.
Betsy, huh? Is that your daughter, your granddaughter?
No, my mother.
Next.
Thank you. Oh.
Whom shall I make this out to?
Henry would be fine.
Henry Kissinger. How are you? What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? This is a war zone?
Only if you try to take a book without paying.
Would you hurry up and sign it? I'm double parked.
Oh, don't worry about that. We'll take care of your car.
Not my car, my airplane.
Are you on your way to mediate in the Middle East?
No, I'm on my way to Japan and China. I'm out of government now. It was enough that I served under 2 presidents.
Hey, you sound a little like a seat cushion.
Sometimes I felt like one.
Henry, when you first went to China, wasn't their capital called Peking?
That's right.
Well, how come it's now called Beijing?
Because I kept pronouncing it that way. They finally had to give in.
Well, I'm glad you don't work for George Bush. I'd hate to hear what you do with Kennebunkport. But you do continue to meet with all the world leaders, don't you?
Yes, sometimes I do.
Yeah, well, tell me, who was more intimidating? Mao Zedong, Ho Chi Minh, Khrushchev?
Sam Donaldson.
Funny, I had more trouble with Diane Sawyer.
Bob, I enjoyed your book. I read it on the plane from New York instead of watching the in-flight movie.
Well, I'm flattered.
Don't be. It was your movie. With all the problems in the Persian Gulf, I figured I could use a few laughs.
Now, you'll get them. Congress is back in session. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, Henry.
It's my pleasure. It's always good to see you and Dolores again.
Dolores, where'd you see her?
She's in line. Lead people back.
Dolores, you came today, too?
I heard you were in town.
How'd she know? Boy, now I am flattered. Dr. Kissinger, I know you have to catch that plane to Japan in a few minutes, and I just want to say thanks from all of us for taking the time to drop by for a little fun. And thank you for everything you've done for a country we both have a crush on. Good luck and sayonara.
And thank you, Bob.
Have a great trip, will you? Read it again.
Bob Hope's Don't Shoot, It's Only Me, his comedy history of the United States, starring Milton Berle, George Burns, Dr. Henry Kissinger, Francis Langford, Gloria Loring, Connie Stevens, Danny Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, the star of our show, Bob Hope.
I just want to say this is Bob Be There Hope saying I'm back for my 41st season on television, and believe me, it's no prank. I've got to keep on working. I need the money to fill my tank. NBC lured me back, and I know it must be great. They sent me 2 free tickets to the Club Med in Kuwait. No, actually, it's my 41st year on television with NBC, which proves that Abraham Lincoln was wrong. You can fool all of the people all of the time. I guess a lot of you will be home tomorrow night watching the Emmys. Unfortunately, I'll be too. To me, that's a spectator sport. I asked my agent how close I am to winning an Emmy. He said about as close as Roseanne Barr is to winning a Grammy. Did you read where President Bush was hooked in the earlobe by his son Jeb while fishing in Maine? Saddam Hussein may be the butcher of Baghdad, but President Bush is now the catch of the day. I didn't even know one of his kids was a hooker. And he was surprised he caught his dad. He was using broccoli for bait. It's a good thing the hook didn't get President Bush in the lips. He wouldn't have anything to read. We may have a new Supreme Court judge soon. David Souter. He was so honored to have been selected, he felt 5 feet tall. And the Senate's investigating his life, but so far they haven't found sufficient evidence to prove he has one. When somebody asked him what he thought of a woman having an abortion, he said, "Don't look at me, I haven't had a date in 30 years. You know that President Bush is trying to get all the countries to chip in for the Middle East crisis? And you can tell Bush is serious. He's been calling the world's leaders, collect. Now, I think we can make up some of the money by selling Saddam Hussein dartboards. No, we need to have people send us a lot of money, and we have to get it fast. Where are Jim and Tammy Baker when we really need them? You know, Japan was confused by the Mideast crisis. They didn't know whether to send troops or real estate agents. Why don't they send Iraq what they sent us? 20 million tourists with cameras. A lot of Japanese over here with cameras. The other day, somebody robbed a Japanese tour bus. They held up a Japanese tour bus. But they'll catch them. They got 3,000 pictures of them. And how about the way the price of oil is going up because of the crisis in the Middle East? I don't mind the Arabs having us over a barrel, but I wish they'd be careful where they put that dipstick. One attendant, how much is unleaded regular? He said $1.84 a gallon. But there's no telling how much it'll be by the time we get the nozzle in your tank. Whoever thought that oil of Olay would be the cheap stuff? Did you hear that a lot of our GIs were flown to Saudi Arabia on commercial airlines? That explains why they're in the desert and their equipment wound up in Brazil. And, you know, it was interesting for the soldiers to fly commercial. Made them appreciate Army food again. And did you see Saddam Hussein on TV being friendly with the hostages and their children? Talk about Iraq's phoniest home video. He's on the wrong show. He should be on America's Most Wanted. Hussein said that the people in the video weren't hostages. They were guests. Yes, they looked about as happy as Leona Helmsley at a Motel 6. Saddam Hussein is really trying to get the world on his side. He wants the world to think he's really a nice guy. You know, like the only reason his tanks are in Kuwait is because their brakes wouldn't work. Hey, and how about Bert Parks returning to the Miss America pageant after 10 years? Some computer must have figured out that Berth was too old for the job at 65 and young enough at 75. I gotta find out what he's been drinking. Now, let me tell you, Bert at 75 is happy to sing to Miss America, but George Burns at 94 is backstage waiting to take her out.
One thing that I want to know, what Oats Baked puts in one tiny O. So much taste in something so little, saving enough room for a hole in the middle. Oats Baked tastes too big to be so smart. brown sugar, cinnamon, raisins and dates, golden honey, hazelnuts, oat baked tastes great. Kellogg's Oat Baked White, a paradox. Such a big taste, such a small box. Oat Baked tastes too big to be so small. Oat Baked tastes too big to be so small.
50's nifty, and to extend these good years, we eat right, exercise, and to be sure we take Geritol Extend with all the vitamins folks over 50 need. Geritol Extend, because you're as young as you feel.
These are two identical slotted spoons and two very different spaghetti sauces, Prego and Ragu. When you see them side by side, the difference really comes through. Prego spaghetti sauce, homemade taste, it's in there.
Sunday, it's all-star comedy bloopers that are
Insane!
Then, evidence of life after death from people who've actually died. A special Sunday Unsolved Mysteries. And L.A. Lost Jill Eikenberry, Judith Light from Who's the Boss, and the Hogans, Sandy Duncan. Three friends trying to recapture the glory they lost by Boyfriends Back. After bloopers and Unsolved Mysteries on NBC Sunday. Get set for the funniest night of TV is ready to go with the greatest Cosby season ever. A sizzling new different world. And a Cheers premiere you can't miss Thursday on NBC.
I first stepped out on the vaudeville stage in 1923 when Calvin Coolidge was president. And my first dance partner was a girl named Mildred Rosequist. Her mother saw the act and wouldn't let her go on the road. But vaudeville survived and became the country's leading entertainment with such great stars as W.C. Fields, Sophie Tucker, a kid named Sammy Davis Jr., Milton Berle, the Marx Brothers, Fanny Brice, and Georgie Jessel, and the great Houdini, Jimmy Durante and Ruby Keeler, Jack Benny and his violin, and George Burns and Gracie Allen. A while back, George and I got together to explain vaudeville to a television generation that thought a sand dance was something you did in Saudi Arabia. Yes, sir. Vaudeville. What an era.
Yeah, but it wasn't all fun and games, Bob.
I know what you mean. Some of those small towns we had to play.
Yeah, I remember. Do you remember Zizek, Nevada?
Do I remember Zizek? Just saying it used to clear up my sinuses.
But vaudeville was a great thing. You could travel light. All you needed was a little sand in your pocket, and you could make a living. Here's some sand. Make a few dollars.
I need it. I bet on the Rams. Little sand music, Professor. The act was a dilly in Cleveland and Philly. We rocked him in Brockton and Troy. What a joy they went batty in old Cincinnati. They screamed in Moline, Illinois.
We had them and shot them. We smashed them and ashed them.
We killed him in Wilton. They raved in New Haven.
Hold it. They raved in New Haven? Where the hell is New Haven?
I think it's somewhere in Connecticut.
That's the way it was. Water, listen, every son and daughter. Aren't you glad that you have bought a ticket to a good old vaudeville?
Himself, the world's slowest whirlwind dancer, America's sweetheart, Mr. George Burns, right here.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here. Nice to be here. Nice to be anywhere.
Well, I'm certainly glad you dropped by, George.
Well, you were talking about vaudeville. I thought maybe you could book me.
I'm sorry to tell you, but vaudeville is dead.
So is my agent, but I still call him every week.
What was your first vaudeville act called?
Maurice's Wonder Dog.
You were Maurice.
No, I was the underdog.
Well, I hope you fired your agent after that gig.
Bet him.
And you finally found the greatest partner of all, Gracie. And Burns and Allen became one of the most famous teams in vaudeville. It's a shame so many people missed that act. You know that?
Bob, let's you and I do a Burns and Allen routine. You be Gracie.
George, I can't talk like Gracie.
Well, you don't have to talk like Gracie. Be Gracie, but talk like Bob Hope.
Him I can do.
Oh, good.
Anybody got a ladies' hat?
Ladies' hat. Oh, good.
There you are.
There you are. Looks beautiful.
I hope Zsa Zsa doesn't think I'm a lesbian.
Say hello, Gracie.
Hello, Gracie.
No, you're Gracie.
Oh, yeah, I'm Gracie.
You're Gracie. Say hello.
Hello.
That's it. Let's talk about your brother, Willie.
Oh, the one with the appendicitis scar on his neck?
No, appendix is down here.
No, but Willie was so ticklish they had to operate up here.
How is Willie?
He broke his back, you know.
Broke his back?
Yeah, well, you see, he had a donut in his right-hand pocket, and when he went to take it out with his left hand...
Broke his back?
Yeah.
Well, the next time he's got a donut in his right-hand pocket, tell him to try to take it out with his right hand.
Well, that's hard to do when you got your pants on backwards.
He had his pants on backwards.
You see, Willie bought a suit with 2 pair of pants, and he put one on frontwards and one on backwards.
So he could go either way?
Yeah, that's when the truck hit him.
The truck?
What truck? The truck that didn't have its lights lit.
Well, why didn't the man in the truck have his lights lit?
He didn't have to. It was daytime.
Well, if it was daytime, didn't he see your brother coming?
Well, he didn't know it was my brother.
He didn't?
No. He saw 2 pair of pants coming towards him, and he drove between them.
Music. Stop. Is your sister, Bessie, here tonight?
No, she couldn't come on account of the canary. The canary is hatching an ostrich egg.
The canary is hatching an ostrich egg?
Yeah, but the canary is too small to cover the egg.
So?
So Bessie's sitting on the egg and holding the canary in her lap.
Music. Stop. How's your Uncle Harvey?
Oh, he was held up last night by 2 men.
Where?
All the way home.
Music. Stop. This family of yours, do you all live together?
Well, it was my father and my uncle and my brother and my cousin and my nephew. They all slept in one bed.
I'm surprised your grandfather wasn't sleeping with him.
Oh, my grandfather was sleeping with them, but he died, so they made him get up.
Say goodnight, kid.
George, I can't call you a kid. You're 94.
I meant to say it to the audience.
Oh, okay, I'll be glad to. Ladies and gentlemen, George Burns is 94.
Triple time step. Ba, 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 da, da, ba, ba, da, 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 ba, ba, da, da, ba, ba,
In the 1930s, a big box with a loud voice took over America's living rooms. It was called radio. Lots of stars were switching to the new medium. Jack Benny and Mary Livingston led the new list of radio stars. That included Fred Allen, the comedian's comedian, Edgar Bergen, and the world's smartest dummy, Charlie McCarthy. In 1938, I got my teeth into radio by going on for Pepsodent. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was president, and Adolf Hitler was marching around Europe buying the real estate. Nobody paid Adolf any attention. I was too busy getting together a group of talented young writers, and we launched the Pepsodent Show with these immortal words.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Bob Hope. Well, here we are with a brand new sponsor, a brand new program, a brand new cast, and ready to tell some jokes.
The show caught on, and a girl named Judy Garland joined us. She had just finished The Wizard of Oz, and I had an idea this song might become a hit.
Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true.
We finally noticed Hitler when war broke out in Europe, and a lot of our young men were called on to take their physical.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Bob Military Hope, telling you to use Pepsodent and your teeth will never be out in a draft.
Then came Sunday, December the 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor, and it wasn't funny anymore. The Pepsodent show didn't go on the air the next Tuesday. America was at war, and a bigger star took my place.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
We are now in this war. We're all in it. Every single man, woman, and child is a partner in the most tremendous undertaking of our American history.
The USO started sending stars like Al Jolson to the battlefront, Ray Bolger, Marlene Dietrich, and Jack Benny. I got together a group we called the Hope Gypsies, including Francis Langford, Jerry Colonna, Tony Romano, and Patty Thomas. We went every place Colonna's voice could frighten the enemy.
You may think that I am a bit wacky.
Why don't you get back in the sacky?
There's room for two. Your nose and you.
Patty Thomas reminded the men what they were fighting for.
Well, some night.
Some night.
Some park.
Some park.
Some moon.
Some moon.
Some bench.
Some bench.
Some grass.
Some grass.
Some dew.
I don't.
And good old Bing did a little dance with us. Frances Langford sang from the bottom of her heart, and her songs brought a lot of these men back home to their wives and sweethearts. Then came D-Day, the invasion of Europe, and General Eisenhower saw the first men off June 6, 1944, and half of our program that night was taken over by that familiar voice.
My fellow Americans, last night when I spoke with you, I knew at that moment that troops of the United States and our allies were crossing the channel in another and greater operation. It has come to pass with success thus far. And so, in this poignant hour, I ask you to join with me in prayer.
We threw away the show we had planned to do. Instead, I said a few words and Francis sang a few better ones.
What's happened during these last few hours, not one of us will ever forget. How could you forget? You sat up all night by the radio and heard the bulletins, the flashes, the voices coming across from England, the commentators, the pilots returning from their greatest of all missions, newsboys yelling in the street, and it seemed that one world was ending and a new world beginning. And folks, what a wonderful thing it is that no matter the price, the reward will be greater than the sacrifice. We hope that thought can go along with the prayer tonight, the prayer of a whole nation. God bless those kids across the English Channel.
June 6, 1944. That song and that voice summed it all up for an entire nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Frances Langford, right here.
I still get goosebumps when I remember that night, Bob.
Well, it seems so long ago and far away, Frances.
It certainly was. When we went overseas, I'm glad I was young enough and girl enough to remind those GIs of the girl they left back home.
Oh, you did more than that. After they saw you, some of them didn't want to go home at all.
Those were exciting times.
Yeah, and we had a few close calls, didn't we?
Well, you mean like when your makeup kit was sent to the wrong base?
I guess the barrels got mixed up. Remember the bombed-out hotel we stayed at in Bizerti? They had a sign in the lobby, keep the doors locked at all times. It helps hold the walls up.
Remember when we got back to Algiers, General Eisenhower told us the Luftwaffe would never again attack and we could get a good night's rest.
Yeah, and at 3 a.m. at our hotel, all hell broke loose. We all raced down to the cellar, which was the bomb shelter there.
You were so wonderful, Bob. You put your arms around me and told me not to be frightened. Then the bombing stopped and you got off my lap.
I remember I sent General Eisenhower a telegram saying, thanks for the rest.
Sure, we shared a little of the hardships and the dangers the troops had to face every day. And I remember all us gals had to dress in one tent. Yours.
War is hell.
Really, Bob, seeing the smiles and hearing the cheers of those GIs when we did our show made it all worthwhile. I wouldn't have taken any money even if you had offered it.
I'm sure you feel the same way about coming on the show tonight, don't you?
But this is different, Bob. No one's life is in danger here.
I don't know. We still have to drive on the freeway home.
That's a different battle. Thanks for letting me relive the memories of those World War II days with you, Bob.
Well, a lot of those guys who are on the front lines and in the hospitals you visited give thanks for their memories of Frances Langford. There she is, ladies and gentlemen, Frances Langford.
Introducing Hunt's Snack Pack Light Pudding. Unlike heavy snacks, it's only 100 calories, 98% fat-free, and 100% delicious. New Hunt's Snack Pack Light, because a serious subject like nutrition should be taken lightly.
You've really decided to do it. I think that's great, and I'll be backing you all the way.
Introducing new Just How I Feel cards, only at Hallmark. Cards that say it just how you feel it.
The anti-lock brakes on the 1990 Acura Integra were inspired by those used to stop jet aircraft. And while you might expect to find such technology on a multi-million-dollar airplane, you might not expect to find it on an automobile that costs considerably less.
Let's talk division. There's long division, like my parents did back in the 1800s. There's subdivision with those little houses like on Joy Court. And now there's La Burger Division, my personal fave. New Burger Buddies from Burger King. 2 delicious all-beef mini cheeseburgers side by side. Now watch careful, here's the division part. Pear and viola, you got 2. Very cool. Reverse! Whoa, from the Skycam, new Burger Buddies.
From Burger King. To make a great little snack, sometimes you've got to break the rules.
He loves me not. He loves me not.
Introducing new Just How I Feel cards, only at Hallmark. Cards that say it.
He loves me.
Just how you feel it.
A gadget called television had been put in the closet for the duration of the war. In 1947, it escaped, and soon it was all over the country. Paramount had an experimental television station right across the street from where I was making a movie, and they asked me to MC the first commercial television broadcast ever. I decided to take the plunge into the new medium because of a sensational technical advance. They offered money.
Gosh,
And ladies and gentlemen, this is Bob, first commercial television broadcast hope, telling you gals who've tuned in, and I want to make this emphatic, if my face isn't handsome and debonair, please blame it on the static. Which one do I look at?
Milton Berle was the very first with a weekly network variety show. He wowed the television audience and was an overnight success. He was followed by other greats like Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Jackie Gleason, the great one. Danny Thomas in one of the first sitcoms, Make Room for Daddy. The early television heroes were all Western stars like Hopalong Cassidy, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers. So, in 1955, Danny and I did a sketch about them.
Why, you miserable little burp. Why?
Don't move, I got the drop on you.
You better back up. If we ever lock bumpers, we're dead.
Have you got a holster for that weapon?
Berle had become known as Uncle Milty, but we did a sketch together that made him look more like Auntie Milty.
Only my draft board knows for sure.
I looked like Pancho Villa after a bad Mexican dinner.
Muy bueno, señorita. Never have I seen such a wild dance before.
Gracias, senor. The dance is called the flamenco cantata La Cienega Coenga.
What does that mean?
It means I put my girdle on upside down.
You know, when we weren't doing sketches in those early days, I never really had to wear much makeup.
Bob, you wore more makeup than Tammy Baker.
Gary Thomas. Gary Thomas.
Danny, how could you say that? I never wore a lot of makeup.
You wore more makeup than Tammy Baker.
Hey, thief of bad gags.
What?
I just told that joke.
I knew I heard it somewhere.
Welcome. You know, I asked you guys to drop by because most of our audience doesn't know much about the early days of television.
Are you kidding? We didn't know much about it either, but we did it anyway, Bob.
My first TV show was called Make Room for Daddy.
Oh, wonderful.
That was a great show. You played sort of a...
Still on.
That's right. That was a great show. You played sort of a Lebanese Bill Cosby.
Yeah. Which reminds me, Danny, I saw a rerun of Make Room for Daddy last night and laughed. I thought I'd never start.
What's the matter, Milty? Was your pantyhose bunching up on you?
You're just jealous because I was such a big star in the 50s, that's all. I was known as Mr. Tuesday Night.
Especially by your wife.
Look, Hook Nose.
What, Hook Nose?
Quiet, or I'll tell everybody. I'll tell St. Jude that you missed Mass.
That's what I did.
Yeah, well, what do you want?
Your show was called the Texaco Star Theater, wasn't it?
That's true. That was back in the old days when we still had gas to sell.
Yeah.
Did you know, I don't know if you guys know that we stayed on the air for 8 years.
Oh, then you ran out of ratings.
No, I ran out of costume jewelry. Yeah. But I did enjoy slipping into a set of frillies once in a while, dancing around.
Most guys just moved to Canada to avoid the draft.
How How would you like a clutch purse shoved up your nose?
You're going with the nose jokes. You know what's the matter with you?
What's the matter?
You just sort of because I'm wearing your old one.
Oh, yeah.
Don't argue. What do you mean don't argue? I'll argue with you anytime.
Don't push me. Please, wait, please.
What's the matter?
We'll have no violence. This isn't a baseball game, you know.
Boy, I was just thinking, I miss the good old days. I don't know about you, Danny. It was all live television. It was challenging, exciting, and, oh, so unpredictable.
Oh, you didn't rehearse either, huh?
I tell you, they were really great shows and great stars back then. People watched Burl, Ed Sullivan, I Love Lucy, Make Room for Daddy.
Hey, how about me?
Oh, yeah, Bob Hope watched those shows, too.
You know, Bob, in those days, we were real pioneers.
That's right. You know, all the people on TV today are standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah, and you got no idea how much trouble it is getting out of bed in the morning with Dom DeLuise on your shoulders.
After DeLuise ate a 10-course breakfast. After DeLuise ate a 10-course breakfast.
It's only an hour show.
Yeah, I know that.
With Jenny Craig on his shoulder. Shut up!
Now, you two are part of the Mount Rushmore of comedy. And I want to thank both of you for what you did for the early days of television.
Well, likewise, Bob. And I think you're doing a wonderful thing for the country tonight.
Yeah, what thing is that?
I don't know. I just thought it sounded good.
Anyway, I enjoyed it, Bob, and bless you.
Oh, thank you, Your Holiness.
Oh, thank you, too.
Milton Berle and Danny Tanner.
Oh, I wish I were an Oscar my wiener.
Excuse me, kids? Kids?
What?
Your hot dogs are missing something, kids.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Mine's not. Yours? No way.
Bet it is.
Bet it isn't. We know we eat these all the time. Yeah!
Not these hot dogs. These are new light hot dogs from Oscar Mayer. They have a third less fat, but since they taste so great, kids will never know what they're missing.
Nothing's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Little painting job, little brush. Big job, big brush, really big job. Now you're rolling.
Ace 7-Star Flat Latex White Ceiling Paint, just $8.88. And Ace Poly Sheeting, clear or black, only $2.57 a roll.
Hey, Ace is a painting place for me.
Let me tell you.
When will the day come when we change the thick, rich taste of Heinz ketchup? You're looking at it. Heinz, the best things in life never change.
There are more laughs and memories coming up after this station break, so stay tuned.
A world premiere movie. Lindsay Wagner, Marcy Walker, and Dinah Manoff.
Happy Ovulation Day.
3 different women with one thing in common.
Have a baby. Maybe have a baby. I want a baby.
But how far will these 3 go to have one?
Wouldn't you like to father a child?
Me. Babies, Monday of NBC Premiere Week.
Okay, guys, ante up. 562. Now what? I know. The Burle Safari. No way. The ballet. 49-cent burgers. McDonald's.
We've always got enough for McDonald's regular hamburgers because they're only 49 cents each every day. So you get?
Change. Imagine that.
Another federal building is the target of violence. Good evening, I'm Ernie Reno. The FBI is investigating a bomb explosion outside the federal building in San Diego earlier today. The bomb exploded inside a metal sculpture but did not injure anyone. Police are treating the incident as a prank. And America's oldest newspaper is still in business, but just barely. All but one of the New York Post's unions have agreed to concessions. And Dave's here with weather.
All right, it looks like a little light rain late tonight and early tomorrow morning, but it's going to continue cool.
Right, join us tonight at 11.
I just want to be like everybody else. Doesn't anyone understand me?
You can help by calling one of these foster parent agencies.
Entertainment Tonight, weeknights at 7:30.
In 1950, we didn't realize we were starting a Christmas tradition when we took off to entertain the guys in Korea. They came early to get a good seat in the snow.
It's really cold. Kelowna had a slight accident. As he got off the plane, he sneezed and broke his mustache. It's kind of cold here, and it's rough on the musicians. No matter what they blow, White Christmas comes out.
Les Brown, the band, and Butch and Stumpy, they never missed. And here is Jane Mansfield to thaw the guys out.
I think he's cute.
I was wondering, Miss Mansfield, there's dance at the Officers Club tonight. Would you like to go?
Oh, I'd love to.
The Officers Club? But you're not an officer.
Who'll notice?
We kept going back to Korea so much, television started to blush.
Korea, where the men fly faster, farther, and higher, and many of them use airplanes.
But America's longest war had already begun.
From Tan Son Nhut and Saigon, Da Nang, Cu Chi, and Cam Ranh Bay in Vietnam.
Mort Lachman had Barney McNulty put the cue cards up, and here I go.
Hello, advisors. Vietnamese for duck. And as we flew in today, they gave us a 21-gun salute. 3 of them were ours.
Raquel Welch, did they love her? An astronaut, Neil Armstrong, came down from the moon to join us.
Here we are at Cu Chi, known the world over as Zap City. Now, I have real good news for you. I want to tell you guys the country's behind you 50%.
And we went from Raquel Welch to Phyllis Diller. Things were tough all over. But there was still time for a gal like Gloria Loring.
Personally, love is a kick right in the pants.
But now America was growing tired of war. All bad things have to come to an end.
This is my 9th trip to Vietnam and my last. It has to be. The chicken with my blood type died. It's hard to believe this is the last time we'll be playing this bass, and this is the last time you out there in the audience will be seeing us here. Try not to cry, huh?
Remember this scene? This is how we saw Long Binh the first time. 30,000 men, and they were wonderful audiences. This is how Long Binh looked the last time. It all gone home, and that's the way I liked it.
One reason I never will forget those trips was the spirit and courage of all the girls who shared the cold and the heat with us. They often had to put on their costumes in armored personnel carriers and be driven to the stage under armed escort. And that was just to protect them from our men. Right now, here's one of the most beautiful of the gypsies, the lovely Miss Gloria Loring, right here.
You know, but that was a very generous billing. I mean, you went to Vietnam and Korea with Lana Turner, Raquel Welch, Jane Mansfield, the most beautiful women in the world.
Well, can I help it if I'm a patriot?
Why didn't you take any handsome men along?
I'm a patriot, not a fanatic.
I especially liked the way you invited us along those overseas trips. It was very formal and official.
Well, what's wrong with that?
With a draft notice?
Must have worked. You showed up, didn't you?
Yeah, but I drew the line at the pre-induction physical.
It didn't matter. I could tell your body was 1A.
Oh. Do you remember that last trip we took to Vietnam? We started in Europe, and when we came out on stage there, there was just mass hysteria. But then when we got to Vietnam and we did that last Christmas show at Cu Chi, the audience was so quiet, and I wondered what went wrong.
Yeah, I had the same strange feeling there.
And you know, then it dawned on me when I saw the GIs pick up their rifles and march out in lines into the backs of trucks, standing up, being taken back out to the front lines, that they were in battle. They'd just come out of battle. And here we were, you know, Hollywood in front of them, and it must have been like a dream with all those girls up on stage, and then even before that could sink in, the nightmare was going to begin all over again.
Are you referring to my monologue?
No, Bob, I would never do that. I'm sure they laughed at your jokes. Weeks later.
Only Jack Benny could have waited that long.
Do you know that 17 years after we did that show, not too long ago, a man came up to me with his arms loaded down with Christmas presents, and he said he wanted to return the Christmas gift that we had given him by our being there and sharing Christmas with him at Cu-Chi. And you know, when I thought about it, for me, the greatest gift was just being there. And I want to thank you for letting me be a little part of history.
That made it all worthwhile, you know?
Yes, it did.
Thank you, Gloria, and I'm glad you answered that draft notice.
Me too.
Gloria Loring, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
Oh.
Seattle. The Raiders battle the Seahawks Sunday.
In 1983, the U.S. Embassy in Beirut was destroyed by a car bomb, and the next remodeling job was done on the U.S. Marine Barracks. After 10 years of peace, there was finally an area unsafe enough to fly the gypsies into. Washington asked me if I was sure I really wanted to spend Christmas in a dangerous place where guns could be fired any minute and people sometimes feared for their lives. And I said, no, I'd rather leave L.A. and go to Lebanon. We brought the girls along to make sure the natives were friendly. The Marines invited one of us to spend Christmas Day ashore with them in Beirut. They suggested we send someone expendable. Guess who? I wound up disguised as an Arab Santa Claus. We're off on the road to Morocco. We were happy to leave those waters. But in 1987, we were back in the Persian Gulf, watching our Navy escorting oil tankers. Yes, the USS Iowa had some really big guns. But we brought our own live ammunition. Brooke Shields. Country and Western singer Lee Greenwood.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
The Gulf was jammed with U.S. aircraft carriers, some of the same ships that are back there right now. We could take off from one floating city and land in the suburbs in a few minutes. The girls were welcome just the way they were. I was the only one that insisted on camouflaging. The Navy isn't sure how to best carry out its mission here in the Gulf. Why don't you just drain the sucker, then it'll be the Army's problem, huh? Connie Stevens brought her daughters along.
To all of our servicemen all over the world and their families, and certainly to ours. Since I found you, looking through the eyes of love.
Show in 1987, we had no idea that only 3 years later, our men and our ships would be on station again in that same ocean. And the danger would be greater. To tell you what it was like back then, here is someone who was the GI's favorite in Vietnam, and 20 years later, she was still their favorite when she brought her 2 daughters with her to the Persian Gulf. Ladies and gentlemen, Connie Stevens, right here.
I don't want to take my girls back there this year, that's all. Do you plan to go?
Only if they find a sand dune big enough for me to hide behind. With the 101st Airborne standing by.
Well, my daughters, they really enjoyed that trip. Can you imagine being a teenage girl where you were outnumbered by men 1,000 to 1?
But we had a memorable trip, didn't we?
Oh, we certainly did. We had quite a few of them now, Bob. And the Navy, they just couldn't have been nicer, huh? We all had very, very nice staterooms.
Yeah, it was nice of the men to move out and give up their rooms.
Oh, the men moved out of your room?
Wait a minute. Maybe you had a better time than the rest of us, huh? No, but I do want to thank you, Ann Jillian, Brooke Shields, Kathy Lee Crosby, Barbara Eden, and all the other girls for making those trips to the dangerous waters around Beirut and the Persian Gulf.
Oh, Bob, all we did was sing a couple of torch songs.
Torch songs, huh? These guys were so ignited they developed night vision 2 years before sonar was invented.
Well, it's a little tougher for our fellows out there today. They can't go to some of the Liberty ports they used to visit in some of those Arab countries.
Yeah, I don't think they miss them too much. I told them the last time in Bahrain, everyone here looks like Danny Thomas. And that's just the women. I remember I said, the women here can't show any skin at all. I ordered a chicken breast and it was wearing a bra.
Laughter helps so much, doesn't it, Bob? I wish it could bring our boys back from the Gulf and Saudi Arabia right here today.
I know, Connie. We can only hope that common sense prevails out there. But when the temperature hits 115 degrees, sometimes common sense evaporates pretty quickly. The Persian Gulf was the only place anywhere I could lay an egg and have it poached before it hit the deck.
And I'm grateful you gave us all a chance to go with you the last time. But I'm hoping your next Christmas show is right here in Hollywood.
Yeah. Thank you, Connie. Connie Stevens, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
Introducing Band-Aid brand's best creation yet. New Band-Aid brand Sesame Street bandages from Johnson & Johnson with a softer, more protective pad.
If one antacid was recommended most by doctors, if it was recommended most by pharmacists, and if it was trusted by hospitals as well, it could only be Mylanta, the antacid doctors recommend most.
That was some storm we had last night.
At times like this, it's reassuring to know that MetLife has the resources to pay every single customer claim, no matter how many come in at one time.
Get Met. It pays.
Sunday, it's all-star comedy bloopers that are insane. Then, evidence of life after death from people who've actually died. A special Sunday Unsolved Mysteries. And L.A. Law's Jill Eikenberry, Judith Light from Who's the Boss, and the Hogan, Sandy Duncan. Three friends trying to recapture the glory they lost by Boyfriends Back after bloopers and Unsolved Mysteries on NBC Sunday. Wednesday, Hunter's mad about his new partner.
What the hell do you think you're doing? I'm a cop.
So are we.
The 2-hour season premiere of Hunter on NBC Wednesday.
My name is Betty White.
My name is Betty White.
My name is Betty White.
It's not going to be this easy on To Tell the Truth on NBC weekdays.
We finished all those shows in the Middle East with a Christmas song. Here's Ann Jillian reminding all of us that there is such a thing as peace on earth, goodwill to men. We'd all like to forget war. But one of the things I never want to forget are the faces of the men and women who fought it. I've seen 50 years of them. The title of my book begins with "Don't Shoot," and that's exactly the message I hope gets across. There are some cynics who say I never met a war I didn't like. They're the ones who haven't smelled it up close in the hospital wards. It's also said I never discussed war with anyone below the rank of a 5-star general. That's not true. Every time I walked out on a stage, I was face to face with the guys who'd been doing the actual fighting. Their cheering and whistling told me one thing: they were very much alive and preferred to stay that way. I wish I had the time to thank all the people who made these trips with me, the stars, the musicians, everyone behind the cameras, and of course the writers. All of us can only hope that today's headlines will have a happy ending and bring faces like these home soon to those they love, and a better world, a world that has regained its sanity. Good night, America, and good luck wherever you are tonight.
Later tonight, Alec Baldwin hosts Saturday Night Live with musical guests, the B-52s. And tomorrow, join Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, and Will McDonough for NFL Live, followed by exciting NFL action. Check local listings for the game in your area. And how can you become a millionaire? Watch NBC and play McMillions.